Super Mini segment is one of the most competitive in the UK. Look closely and you'll find that there's an offering for pretty much everyone. Cars that are driver focused, comfortable, cheap to buy and cheap to run. The Toyota Yaris, in particular this hybrid version, claims to offer all the practicality of a normal Super Mini but will average over 80 miles per gallon. The question is then, can a car that's so eco-friendly really cut it amongst the big boys? Now, the Super Mini market is flooded with all manner of offerings that are capable on the road. Cars like the Ford Fiesta and Volkswagen Polo. The Toyota Yaris, on the other hand, is a totally different kettle of fish. It's been built with one eye on economy rather than offering an inspiring drive. And the most environmentally friendly version in the range is this, the hybrid. It uses a 1.5 litre petrol engine combined with an electric motor. That means if you drive it carefully, you'll average over 80 miles per gallon and emissions of just 89 grams per kilometre of CO2. In fact, it's one of the cheapest Super Minis to run. Only the Renault Zoe will be cheaper, and that's a full electric. Now, as I said, this is a car that you'll have to drive carefully to get the most out of it, and you will want to drive it carefully, largely because of this automatic gearbox. You put your foot down and it does become rather whiny, and the problem is, because there isn't a lot of power in the car, you will want to put your foot down to get anywhere quickly, which will cause the engine to rev out. The steering isn't bad though. It's not as good as the best in class, but it's good enough for nipping around busy cities. Plus, all-round visibility is excellent thanks to these large windows. You also get a small window down by the A-pillar, which means you won't have any problems pulling out of junctions. Elsewhere in the range, there's a 1 litre petrol, which is a little bit lackluster, and a 1.5 litre petrol, which is cheaper to buy than the hybrid. But if you do have one eye on economy, then the hybrid is definitely the one to go for. Inside, there's something of a scattergun approach to the design. There are plenty of storage bins and cubby holes, but they're really odd shapes and weirdly positioned. Down here by the handbrake, you've got some driving modes, but you've also got some driver safety aids by your right knee. It just all seems a bit cluttered and not very well thought through. Now, there's a real mix of cabin materials in here. Some of them are nice and soft to the touch, but others are pretty harsh, and some of the switchgear and buttons are pretty dated. As too is the satellite navigation system, which is slow to respond and nowhere near as good as some of its rivals. Nevertheless, there is space up front for a couple of tall adults, and while space in the back is a little cramped, it's no worse than some of the competition. The boot is a good size and shape too, and it can be extended by folding down the split fold rear seats, but it doesn't do anything else particularly clever. While most Super Minis are geared around a wide audience, the Toyota Yaris Hybrid has got a very clear customer base. Yes, it may not be as fun to drive, or the build quality might not be as good as some of the competition, and it is expensive to buy straight off. But those low running costs are its biggest draw, and for many, that'll be enough.